Welcome to this slideshow by SeeMySite, talking about texting your way to a safer workplace. We're just going to cover today a little bit about the SeeMySite service, what it actually does, and some of the benefits. As you can see from some of the bullet points, simple to log in and log out by text, there's no app required, and workers can report and view site hazards as they occur and report incidents as well. So it's simple to use, you can export data from it, and it also has the ability to be able to manage time records by working by site as well. Most importantly, it works across PCBUs, and we'll discuss what that actually is in a moment. So New Zealand's rate of workplace accidents is pretty high, and most of these happen in 5 key industries, as you can see on the screen there. New Zealand has some of the worst rates of workplace fatalities, and the cost of workplace injuries continues to rise. The Health and Safety at Work Act from 2015 is the primary legislation covering the health and safety of workers in the workplace, and has various levels of responsibility. The PCBU, as we mentioned in one of the first slides, is the person conducting a business undertaking, and there are duties which are attached to that, as well as for the officers and workers. The Act sets out it's everyone's responsibility to ensure health and safety across the organisation. Ultimately though, the PCBU is responsible for the health and safety of anybody who's working on any sites for which they have ownership. There are obligations, and here's a list of them there. I'll just pause for a second so you can actually read those. And it's important to point out the PCBU will usually be a company, however it can be an individual, or in some cases a sole trader as well. So all PCBUs will have individuals who have senior government roles within them. And typically these will be known as the officers. So an example of officers, people like company directors, partners, board members, the CEO, essentially people who manage or hold roles of importance within an organisation, form the officers of that company. So the new Act also takes into consideration workers and responsibilities that they themselves have in the workplace, making sure, for example, that their acts or omissions don't harm others. There are specific requirements for worker engagement. If the PCU has more than 20 employees, and WorkSafe New Zealand obviously holds some significance here, because inspectors can call on a workplace at any time, and they have the power to issue things like improvement notices, prohibition notices, non-disturbance notices, and infringement notices. And as you can see from the increasing severity of these notices as well, the job of WorkSafe is not necessarily to catch everyone out, but make sure that everyone is working in terms of compliance. The fines can be quite onerous under the new Act, both at the individual level as well as at the PCBU and senior officer level, with a maximum fine of $3 million and up to 5 years imprisonment. Okay, so what do we do? So what does SeeMySite do, and how does it fit in this situation? Well, SeeMySite is a service that helps PCBUs and their organisations record attendance at sites, and primarily we do this through the use of the text messaging service. Since most organisations and most workers and staff within those organisations will have a mobile phone, we can allow workers from your organisation, or other organisations indeed, or indeed visitors as well, to use the service. They can view and report hazards, report events, and things like incidents as well. And we'll also provide timesheets for both workers and sites, and the ability to export them as well. So I'll just show you how that works. So on arrival, a worker or visitor arrives at the site. They text the site ID that's associated with the site to the SeeMySite number. They'll also be able to enter in their expected duration on site. And this is quite important in terms of health and safety, because it gives us an idea of when we expect that particular person to leave that site. So the worker will generally know the site code in advance, or you can print out a site report basically from SeeMySite, which will have the number and site ID on there as well, and can also list any known hazards that have been registered against the site. So when a worker arrives at the site, they text to the SMS number that we provide, and that includes the site ID as well as the expected duration on site. They then send that text. They'll receive back an acknowledgement from SeeMySite, acknowledging that they're registered at being at that site, and then they carry on working, and when they want to leave, they want to close off that period of work or attendance, they text the word out. And they will receive a text back saying, acknowledging the fact that they are now logged out from that particular site. Which then in turn closes off any expected duration, so we won't be going into any alerting type scenario. So what if someone forgets to log out? Well, what we'll do then, we'll send them a text to their registered phone, just prompting them, reminding them that they should be logging out. And we'll do that twice. At any stage, they can close that loop just by texting the word out. So as a user of the SMS service, you'll be able to see that either on a web browser or on your mobile phone as well. As long as you have an internet connection, you'll be able to see that information. In the event somebody doesn't know how to use the service, all they have to do is type the word how to the SMS number, and they will receive a text back with information which will include how to log in, how to log out, how to register themselves using a mobile phone if they know the company ID of the user for SeeMySite. They'll be able to report any hazards there as well and record any incidents. So an example we can see there, I've just used the recognised texting format and entered a description of the particular hazard, and that has now been recorded against the site. The website is your main portal of information about sites, workers and events, and once you've confirmed as a user, you'll be able to log in and get a high level view of what's happening through that dashboard view. So as you can see from our example here, number of sites, number of events, number of workers, and anybody who's actually overdue showing is logged in but overdue at a particular site they've logged in at. On the event side, the hazard that was reported by the worker has shown up on our dashboard. As a user, you may elect to confirm that you accept that reported hazard, in which case it will be added to the hazard list for the site, and all new hazards are notified on the next occasion that a worker or visitor logs into the site. So if there's a new hazard there, as soon as somebody logs back into that site, they will receive information about that new hazard. An incident attracts a higher response level than a hazard. So as soon as a hazard incident is reported, the user responsible for that site will receive an automated text message. If that user doesn't respond within 5 minutes, the next user in the organisation will be contacted, and so on until someone acknowledges that incident. So being an incident, it's obviously very, very important that we have someone acknowledge that. On the site side of things, the site screen really is the heart of the SMS service, and it's going to display information from workers and visitors that log in and log out of sites that belong to the user who creates that site. So anybody who logs into the site will be displayed on the site view, meaning a PCBU has full transparency of people logged into their sites. And that's an important point, that regardless of who owns the relationship with a worker or a visitor, whoever logged into that site will be displayed for compliance purposes. The time records tab defaults to the current week. So default view is all time records for all visitors and workers within those sites that have been attended. Now the way we've designed SeeMySite is basically via filter. So rather than create bunches and bunches of reports, you're able to filter and create your own view in a meaningful way using the filters provided. And then you'll see the peach coloured area on the screen there, whether it's on your mobile or on the browser. There's a drop down area for that. So they can select the date range and select different worker and site information as well. On the top right of our screen there, we have a group of commands basically where people can reset filters. You can refresh the data showing on the screen. You can export that data to Excel, and there is a column choosing function there as well, so you can see more or less data if you want to, just by ticking or unticking a particular column that you want to have on the view of the report. So just say it's pretty simple to produce information out. You just have to use the export function that's available there. If you want info out, you can minimize the level of the data, as I said before, with the column chooser, and that will then just provide us with an Excel format of the columns that you've chosen for that particular report. So we can do them site-based, as I mentioned before. They can be worker-based as well. If someone's overdue, an alert to the owner of the site becomes issued. This person could be a worker who reports to the site owner, or it could be an employee of another organisation. And so it's the responsibility of the PCBU to ensure the safety of all people lawfully on the site, and we cater for this. So an example here, we can see somebody's overdue, flag comes up, and that will result in a text being sent out to the owner of the site, and it'll also show up as being overdue on the dashboard. Just in summary then, SeeMySite's a service. There's no additional software required, just access to internet in the browser. It's not an app, so it's browser based, so there's no requirement to download an app or have another app on somebody's phone. The service will work with the simplest mobile phone, so anybody who can text can use SeeMySite. So anyone who accesses or visits the site under the ownership of a PCBU can text the service. As I've mentioned there, also block phone numbers will not work. Of course, we need a phone number to recognise who's making that call to the particular site. There's no cost to a worker or to a visitor to send a text, provided of course they have a texting plan. And the website works equally well on a mobile phone with a suitable screen size, and just uses the mobile's browser to access the website. So as a user, you don't need to sign contracts, just purchase a sufficient number of text messages to operate the service, and we'll monitor the usage, of course, and email you when you need to top up. Currently we're looking for pilot customers in New Zealand, so if you're a business with 5 to 25 workers and you'd like to work with us, give us your feedback. We'll provide our service free for the length of that pilot period. In exchange, we'd like your feedback on the service offering and what we're missing and can improve on. And just make contact by sending an email in the first instance to sales@seemysite.nz. So thanks very much for sitting through our 15-minute overview of SeeMySite service, and hopefully we look forward to talking with you in the near future about how we can help.